How would you react if you found out there was an easier way to make money? Not only to make money, but to just live your life in a way that's easier and flows better. When you're not living this way, the only problem is you're not looking around you at the world and reading really what's happening. Each of us put our own lens on things. We see things as either useful or not useful. We see things as threatening or welcoming, easy, challenging. It's that yin and yang. You may have seen this symbol. It's that two fish dancing, the black and white disc with the dots. This is a symbol used in the philosophy of Taoism and the practices of Tai Chi. But then there's another one that actually relates with it very well, which you might have also heard of. It's not just getting a fit body and a nice butt, but it's also dealing with things like this, like that airplane, and it's called yoga. Both of these philosophies go hand in hand, and I'm going to do my best in this video to bring them together in a practical way that allows them to be better absorbed by the common person or by somebody who's not actively practicing these practices and philosophies, to apply them into your life and see how they can actually make you more money. Because as much as we hate to admit it, money is something that is very taboo, because we all have this perception of how much is enough. And we also have this perception of it's this subject that we shouldn't address because it makes us feel uncomfortable. And that's partly because money is something that we address status to. If you have more money than me, I'm going to maybe feel threatened. If I have more money than you, you're going to maybe feel smaller or like you don't belong. And oftentimes these things, you can't argue with them. So instead of feeling uncomfortable about them, we just ignore them and we don't talk about them. But these two philosophies have affected me in such a way that when I really started applying them in more ways than just the physical practices, I started to make more money. My life started to get easier. I started investing in myself, and I started to be better at whatever it was that I was doing. And that's because I didn't simply focus on the physical. So here I'm going to share with you some physical practices that I employ in my day-to-day, in most of the things that I do in my life. But I'm also going to share some mental exercises that you can do and some things that you can apply that are just thought exercises that will help you utilize these in your life. One code and key that you just have by virtue of just being born is your body. Your body is an incredible thing with genes and hormones, cells, DNA, all of these various components somehow being structured together and working together in such a harmony that it boggles the mind. But these all have a particular structure, a certain way that they operate best. We could argue about what best is, but my perception of best is having a life that is smooth, where you have all of your needs met, as well as you're not taking away from the needs of those around you. You're also affecting the world and creating positive, creative change, because like I was saying in my previous videos, authenticity includes the ability to change the world around you, to be creative, to innovate, to use your ingenuity and your talents to their fullest potential, exploring their expression, because exploration, creativity, ingenuity, innovation, these are all parts of being a human being. And the nature to which we express them can be increased by applying these two principles, yoga and Taoism. So we return to the body. The cells and the hormones and all of that stuff is great, but what we relate with is our physical body. In yoga, you stretch your physical body. You stretch it so that you can have your thoughts affect the world more easily. There's one thing about yoga that gets missed when passerby just look and glance at it. And that is that by stretching your body and opening it up, you're also including in that basket the breath. By stretching your breath and using it to its fullest extent, you still the mind. And by doing that, you can create change better because you make better decisions. Another way that you can affect change easier and make better decisions is by breaking the barrier between your intent and your actions. So having less judgment, less hatred, less anger, less resentment, less emotionality influence the behavior and the ideas and the thoughts that you're having. Because this, of course, all of us humans struggle with. We're emotional creatures. And by doing yoga in a physical way, you lessen the strain on your body. If I want to move somewhere, if I want to do something, if I want to lift something up, if I'm trying to convey an idea, all of these things are blocked if my body is tight. And there's 3 key areas where our movement actually impedes the effectiveness of our behavior and our actions and also our thoughts. So these 3 are your pelvis and your legs, your spine, and your jaw. I'm going to get to the jaw in a moment, but first, your pelvis and your legs. Of course, you're moving around. You want to be able to move freely. If you can't get out of harm's way quickly, your body seems to instinctively know that, and it doesn't like that. I feel it very frustrating when after I go lift at the gym heavy, like recently I did a leg day after a long time of not doing the leg days because it was Christmas. I feel so frustrated every time I have to try to strain to pick something up off the floor. This usually lasts about a week until I get back into the swing of things. But I get back into the swing of things by also practicing the stretches of my legs. We also spend a lot of our time sitting. So when we're sitting, our psoas gets tightened. It doesn't stretch, so it gets shortened. And so standing up is tougher, and it's also tougher then to run, to move freely, because that's a very pivotal muscle in the body. It actually connects to your back, your spine, and because of that, it can cause back pain and then so many knock-on effects down the line. Next is your spine. And your spine holds one of the most valuable components of your whole entire body, your central nervous system. And the fact is, your central nervous system is contained in your spine, which is just incredible. But what that means is it has to be flexible. Just by nature of what we are flexible creatures. We are so adaptable when you look at the human species, and that's partly reflected in our body. That's where the principle of Taoism comes into play, is this acceptance of nature. This acceptance of just who you are. And not like Fred or Samantha or Thomas, but as a human being. Recognizing that your spine moves, and it flexes, and it twists, and it has that malleability, means that it should stay that way for best expression, best effectiveness, best practices, if you will. Keeping the spine flexible and mobile is incredibly important because it has something called the cerebral spinal fluid. And fluid doesn't love to be stagnant. I'm standing in a creek bed, and fluid wants to move. If it doesn't, it gets taken over by bacteria, and it's not able to serve the world in the way that it's best, is when it's moving, delivering nutrients, flushing things, clearing things out. That's the nature of water. Again, we use Taoism to apply looking at this nature of who you are and accepting the fact that your spine is made to be flexible. Now, when I'm practicing yoga or when I'm just keeping my spine fluid and stretching it out periodically, regularly, my thoughts are clearer and I feel healthier. My skin is better, which is not that important. I don't know why I came up with that idea, but my digestion is better. Because if you're moving your spine, you're also subtly affecting all of the organs inside of you, which do well when they're given this sort of massage. Nothing works well when it's stagnant, because look around you. What here is stagnant? What inside of you is stagnant? All of your cells, all of the fluids inside of you are constantly and consistently interacting with each other. Simple spinal twists are a very effective method to open up the spine, keep it fluid so that your thoughts can send signals down that spine to all the various organs easier. And then when they're getting signals that are easier, when they're receiving signals more smoothly, well, basically what's happening is you're generating less stress in the body. You're generating less cortisol, which then doesn't send the knock-on effects of tension in the mind, anxiety, distress. You notice that when you're moving your body, you have a lot more clear-headedness, clearer thoughts. Your life just flows better. And I want that for you. I really do. That's why I'm making this video. And the next thing is the jaw. Now this one is specific for the men, because I know how we feel like there's so much pressure to perform correctly and to do the right thing. There's a lot of pressure. Even if we weren't raised that way, we feel it in society. We look around us and we see people failing and how people love to laugh at them. We feel the tension of speaking in public, so we just choose not to most of the time. And that's partly because there's a barrier between our thoughts and our words. And our words are incredibly crucial because our words can form the way that we see the world. They do. It's not just that they can, but they do. But also the expression of the thoughts that we have is smoother. Because when we can express and communicate smoother, we align the world with how we view the world. We can communicate a problem we had. We can more clearer and more authentically and more directly communicate the ideas we have. Meaning that at the end of the day, we're not thinking at night going, God, I wish I had said that. Or that was such a stupid thing to say. Or I can't believe I performed so poorly in that meeting, or talking to that woman I love, or why do I keep behaving this way? It's most often tied to the way that we're communicating. Because if we're not communicating our thoughts clearly, it means our thoughts are bouncing around in our minds. When we have an alignment between what we believe and what we actually think, or what we feel, there's less chaos between the two. There's less need to do something about it, to fix something about what we said or did. Because we have an innate conscience within us telling us that, yeah, this is right and this is wrong. That can be marred a lot by trauma, by pain, by past historical events that have happened to us, in our own history, I mean. One of the most incredible things about these two practices is they also include looking at the world the way it is. If you look at the world, you see that you could go off and be a monk and just meditate. Or you could lay flat, for example, not participate in the world and accept the fact that you'll always be poor, or you're always going to be stressed, or you'll never find fulfillment. But then you miss out on seeing the fact that we live in the most incredible time to make a change in the world, using our own abilities and skills. The internet gives you so much reach, just like I'm having reach with you now, hoping, praying that these words can reach you and shift something within you. Just a little bit, to make the little changes that then affect your whole entire life. But recognize that shying away from this world and deciding to not participate is missing out on so much of your potential. Now, so is working so hard that you burn out and wonder, what is it all for? I'm not seeing any progress, all of this. That's also not working in line with the authentic way to be you, the authentic way to experience life as you in this time. So what I do with my clients is I get them to look inside and find what it really is that makes up their structure and their design, what their natural proclivities and talents are, but also go inside and see what are those barriers that are standing in the way of their clear expression, of their clear vision of the world, seeing the world as it is, rather than through this lens of chaos, trauma, just toxic preconceptions that cause them to think the world is more threatening than it is, or that they are more flawed or broken than they really are. And here's the clue: none of us are really broken. What we have is simply thought patterns that stand in the way of our clear expression, our clear action, and they keep us spiraling in habits that just are outdated, unuseful, and prevent us from having an effective change and a fulfilling life. Ultimately, you can choose the way you want to live. That's a right afforded to all of us, actually. Nobody can tell you how to live. But I think you know those times when life is just going so smoothly. And those are usually the times when you are actually in what the yogis call yoga. Yoga is simply just a union of what is actually within you, your abilities, and nature, which is very similar to Taoism. Taoism is just the way. And you can feel that too. When you're in flow, you're in the Tao. You are doing the things that are authentically best for you. And one of the best things about these practices is they help us avoid wasting so much time and energy on just pursuing things that aren't good for us. Not just that they're not healthy for us, but that they're not suited for us. I've saved so much time not worrying about the things that actually they don't suit my personality. They're not things I desire to do. And because of that, I've been able to refine and align those aspects of myself that are truly unique to me. And because of that, I've become a distilled, a refined version of me. And that has given me so much confidence, has given me so much freedom and ease of movement and ease of experience. And of course, this is still a journey for me. I'm not trying to say that I'm perfect in any way. But I know these principles are ancient for a reason. These principles that can ground you in the reality that you can only ever experience, you can only ever know. That becomes very magnetic for people. You know it because when you're firing on all cylinders, you can remember those times because they feel more rich. And people respond better to you. And to be honest, that's when the clear ideas come. That's when things go more smoothly. We are more confident. And so who wouldn't pay more for that? They allow our unique ideas to come through. They bring us the confidence to take the risks, to actually pursue the things that we are here, or rather, we are best suited for. And you know that people that are paid lots of money, they're fulfilling very specific roles. They're specialists in only their domain, and nobody else can do what they do. Well, that extends over to you as well. Nobody can do what you do the best way that you do it. If you're interested in this, I'm launching a cohort of men in February who are all interested in beginning in transforming our relationship with money at the source, with the way that we view it and our relationship to it. So if that interests you, click the link down below. I'll have it linked here in all my videos. If you missed that, we will definitely run it again. But in the meantime, we're going to be working on specific goals in my school group that will be alternating themes as the year goes on. But it's a path that I've been on for over a decade now. And progress has been slow until I've been learning these things that I'm lately learning. And I'm just so excited to share them with you so that you can hopefully be on the path of self-actualization and improved mental health and physical finances as well. Thank you so much for watching. Please share this with anybody who you think it could benefit. And with that being said, I look forward to talking with you soon. All right? Peace.